Huzzah! We're back with more Metroid Prime!
Yep.
And serious issue talk.
Yeah, continuing our social justice complaints and shit like that, and continuing the story about Black Lives Matter interrupting the gay pride parade in Toronto, which is what they did. Quick correction, I said in the last video that Sammy T was black. It turns out he's Syrian. But he is a person of color. He had recently immigrated to Canada before the incident, and he was completely fucking nuts. So, yeah.
Way to bring that terminology down.
Yeah, well, I mean...
you read the article.
I'll put it this way.
He was like holding this exposed nutsack.
Yeah,
coming at the cops with a knife,
threatening people on the streetcar before cops. This is how it started. He basically just took out a knife and started threatening people on the streetcar, and then they started threatening the driver with the knife. And so they evacuate the streetcar. Cops show up. They say, "Put down the knife." He starts coming at them, and the dude shoots him 9 times. Now, is there a way to handle that better? Of course there is. But at the same time, am I taking fucking Sammy a team side on that? Fuck no, I'm not. The guy was like, the kid was just being violent. Now, he's probably had a shitty life. You know, he grew up in Syria, in the time, I forget, while they're having the big drought and everything. So the kid has had some serious shit go down, right?
Right.
But at the same time, you can't come at a police officer and expect to survive.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of that fear that's been ingrained, though, and that's where the problem lies, though. If you come at a police officer in any way, threatening or not, the police also have that fear towards its citizens.
Yeah.
So it's kind of gone both ways on this, where, like I said, I'm afraid of the cop, but the cop's also at this point afraid of me. They've been now trained to look at every citizen as a threat.
Well, that's the way they always were trained. Right? You're always like, that's, I mean, maybe we just don't know enough about that subject to even talk about it. But I don't
know, I'm not a police officer, but
yeah,
again,
I think they were always trained to treat everybody as if they could be
Well, depending on the situation, but they're also trained to recognize situations.
Yeah.
But my best phrase that I can say is, honestly, growing up, I feel that the police officer is the high school bully that needed a job, and now he's a police officer. And they're most likely going to be the speed cops, and the speed cops are the ones that are generally involved with terrible incidents.
Yeah, I mean, I've had to deal with Toronto police on a number of occasions, and I've never found them to be anything but the most professional. I've never doubted...
Well, that's why I was mentioning in the last one as well. It's a totally different vibe when you come to Canada.
Yeah. With
police officers.
Yeah.
Now, a Mountie, holy crap, you don't mess with a Mountie.
Oh, yeah?
I went to the RCMP museum and saw some of the training they have to do. Oh, my God.
Yeah. Well, they're basically
they go through... PTSD through some of that training.
Yeah, I mean they're like the FBI. Canada has a secret service too.
Yeah, they're crazy.
Yeah, it's
crazy awesome, but crazy.
Yeah, I mean they got a crazy name, the Mounties, but
hell yeah, not to be confused with the WWE wrestler from the early '90s.
Right.
To make a joke out of it, there was an actual WWE wrestler from the 90s called the Mountie, and he carried around an electric baton stick. He could electrocute people.
Yeah.
Okay, so back to serious stuff.
Okay. So, so basically what I'm trying to say is that the Black Lives Matter shit is it makes a lot more sense in the States than it does here, but in both cases they just act like children, and they're annoying, and they're not being productive. So I guess maybe there is correlation between that and feminism, but that's another thing. So here's the deal: is that on Sunday we had a big Pride parade. It's a big deal in Toronto. It happens every year, and Black Lives Matter were invited to participate, and they did. They had their little spot in the parade, and when the time came, they just decided to sit down and say the parade's not moving any further until we get our way. And what did they want? That's kind of not really the point, is what they wanted, because they wanted, fucking ice cream on Tuesdays and, that kind of shit, right? A whole bunch of, stupid fucking shit that they wanted. They just wanted people to say, okay, you can have your way. That's all they wanted. And so they sat down. The parade was stopped for a solid half hour.
I don't know. I read some of the issues, and there was a couple ones that made sense, but one of them that didn't make sense was there was at one of the closed facilities in Toronto because they weren't paying their bills. I read that one in particular. Like they weren't paying the bills.
They want Pride to give more money towards
BLM.
And the issues that they cover. You know, they wanted to give more money to like colored I don't there's certain like workshops and stuff that they wanted them to fund and support systems.
So basically they wanted someone else to pay for their stuff.
Well,
that got shut down. That's what I interpreted from what I read, and that's why they didn't get what they wanted. But in this case, at the Pride Parade, they did get what they wanted, right?
In fact, I'm pretty sure they never even brought it up before. To be honest, I don't even think there's even been a history. I think this was like the first time anybody ever even seen it.
Yeah, that was also in the article that they've never brought this up to, whether it be City Hall or the Pride community.
Yeah, this was just an opportunity for them to make a big stink. And that was the whole point of it, is just to make a big stink. It's not like, oh, gee, we're really sorry that we have to do this at this point, but if you just, let us do it earlier. That deviates sharply from all other protests, like civil rights protests. Martin Luther King. And that stuff. The reason that they had to do the sort of disruptive protesting is because the normal channels were not listening to them. Right?
Right.
And they were breaking laws because they were unjust laws, and that was the whole idea. So one of the most controversial things that they asked for was to say no more police allowed in the parade. No more police allowed in the parade. And police have been in the parade for a very long time. Like, the police have set up their own float, just the same way that the Toronto City Council has and all that kind of thing.
Right.
But this is supposed to be about tolerance. This is supposed to be about people coming together, right?
And that's what we were...
on neutral ground in, places like that. And to say we don't want those people to come is, very, very against the idea of Pride.
Well, we were talking... during our introduction of the last video where we started this, that's what the Gay Pride Parade's about. It's about a big party of tolerance.
That's right.
And we've mentioned this, I think... This was in the Last of Us video, where we brought up the Aboriginal computer lab incident.
Yeah.
Where the guy tweeted out, "You fight segregation with segregation," and that's what's exactly happening. The BLM sits down and says, "We don't want this specific group to not be at this party of tolerance."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's it. They don't want. So, And you kind of wonder, it's more like they don't want the representation of the police. It's not so much the police officers, but they don't want the representation of the police. That kind of thing. But, I'll put it this way. I saw an excellent video taken from Ottawa, just somebody on their phone, of, a black dude and a female police officer dancing. Literally, just let's just have a dance. And so they just have a dance in the middle of the parade. For, a couple minutes. And then they just go back to whatever they were doing before.
Right.
Because that's what it is. That's what it's about. It's not And I think she was on duty at the time, too. I think she was. But that's what it is, right? That's the idea of the parade. And so basically what happened is they had their big fucking temper tantrum. And so the leader, or whoever is the organizer of the Pride Parade,
if you look at pictures just online, it looks like they're all in timeout.
Yeah,
and basically. They refuse to move.
Yeah, that's what it is. And so the guy who basically organizes the parade showed up, and it's not even like he's the guy. It's just that he's one of the guys, right? Because it isn't really that kind of hierarchy. It's this fucking great gay pride parade.
Yeah.
He shows up, and they say, "Here's our list of demands. You must sign it." And so he's he's very positive. He's okay, I understand what you're saying. You know what? I think we can work with this. And so he takes out this, they have this really silly pen because it's Pride. So he has this, this hilariously, ornate pen that he takes out. And he signs it. There's lots of hugging, lots of cheering, everything. It's yeah, things are moving forward. And the Gay Pride and the parade just starts right back up again, and everybody's happy. The day after, the guy says, "Fuck those guys. Of course we're not doing any of that shit. I just did that to get the parade moving."
Right.
Which is what anybody would have done. Right. Of course. And so Gay Pride or BLM is we're so taken aback. We thought this was for realsies. And it's no, it wasn't. It was
realsies.
It was It's like, no, it wasn't. It was to get you off your fucking asses and out of our parade. And so they're throwing a fit, and I don't think anybody would ever take their side on this. Except for, like, you'd have to be pretty fucking demented to take BLM's side on this.
Like I said, it's irritating with the way some people go about things, and that is just not the time and the place to do it.
Yeah.
I don't feel that that's because it's not. That's not the. It's something like Carnival in Brazil. That's what Pride really reminds me of.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
That's what it's about, celebration of your rights, your tolerance.
Yeah.
Everything that every community has worked so hard to accomplish, and then to stop it all, to segregate and have your own agenda, I feel isn't the right time.
I mean, they're being so, like, obtuse about the symbolism here. Like, so apparently Pride as being anti-black. And I understand there's some history there. That, like, there is a bit of a racial history there. But at the same time, it's like Pride, like gay pride parade is anti-black. Like, that's the thing you want to protest right now. It's clear that they only picked that because it was the biggest deal, and they just wanted to make a big stink.
They wanted to make a statement on a big stage.
And it's like, fuck you, homosexuals. We're just gonna make a big deal about it. One of the big things that's being passed around is an op-ed written by a police officer, a gay police officer, who is talking about his experiences and what pride means to him, gay pride. And it's exactly what you would expect it to be, because it really doesn't take much to, like, answer these fucking BLM maniacs. All you gotta do is just... all you gotta... Like, it really is just as cut and dry as... here are my experiences as a gay man, and here are my experiences as a police officer. This is why it's really meaningful to me to know that my employer in this institution, this civic institution, actually condones my identity. You know, it supports it, right? And it means a lot to me to know that I can go to gay pride and, like, my police chief is right there supporting me in what I do. And that's and it was really pretty straightforward stuff. It was not like it was this really clever thing they had to write, because it was a really fucking easy perspective. It's a really easy argument to make.
Mm-hmm.
Just to shut down these Black Lives people.
This whole movement's just become just crazy to even fathom. I mean, this is my fourth different country I've lived in now, and I've even experienced a fifth, and each one handles things differently, and I just don't see Canada as a country with a huge intolerance problem, not unlike parts of the States which I've lived in. I mean, Louisiana is the crime and intolerance there is insane.
Yep.
I mean, I have
of course, yeah.
I have some crazy offshore stories of some intolerant people, and I mean, as soon as for example, I mean, if they see something, a gay person on TV, they just, like, lose their mind. They're like, this is bullshit, I can't believe I'm... And I'm like, whoa.
Well, you know what, that's probably the way it was in Canada too, right?
At one point, but I just don't... I don't know, I just don't get that vibe here. And then in Germany, it's just totally just not a big deal.
Well, I mean,
from what I saw, I mean, there's no from where I was living, there was no parade. No one cared. You have your rights, so be it. It was just so non-existent that everyone just. But Germany's got that culture where it's you stay out of my business, I stay out of yours.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. But then you got old school ex-communist countries like Romania. It's like, oh no.
Yeah.
That's still, way behind. So that's its own issue.
Well, yeah. And
I feel like Canada is above the threshold. It's like in between how Germany goes about it, and still quite a few steps above how America, or where America is right now.
Yeah, and there's injustice that's due to ignorance, and there's injustice that's due to oppression, right?
Yeah.
Or to, like, actual, like, political forces trying to keep people down. And I'm not going to say that Canada is, like, one and not the other, because Canada, of course, everybody's got both, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and like of course I think everybody's seen situations that are just despicable. You know.
Yeah, I've seen some horrid things happen to some friends of mine, and they're definitely part of the community, and it's not right for sure.
Yeah.
But it's, I'm not saying it's hate does exist for sure. I'm not that ignorant out there.
Yeah, yeah,
But
no,
it has
yeah, yeah.
definitely come a long way, and a long way fast.
Yeah, I mean, I think we said earlier that it's like at this point, Pride is more a celebration of what has been achieved, right? As opposed to like, as opposed to like we need things to change now,
Yes.
right? Which is why corporations are so much happier to just jump on board.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure if we look up some news articles and whatnot, just X amount of years ago, that corporations were not involved. It was all put on by their own community, etc., etc.
Well, that's why it's, and especially like when Facebook last year did like, because they had the big Supreme Court ruling last year about like you're allowed to, I forget what it is, and Facebook got on board with it. And I was like, give me a fucking break, like Facebook cares, like Facebook cares. But yeah, anyways, so
that's a different issue altogether.
Basically, the SJWs are still around. They're not going away. It's just endlessly irritating to like babysit these people, but they want their cake. We got to give them their cake.
Yeah.